refreshed.
Should we from the room?
Oh yeah, can do. Yeah, good idea.
No, no, is that another one? Mm-hmm.
Better?
Yeah.
You can see that. I usually present using what's called mind maps and keywords. So basically what you'll end up doing is taking lots of notes from probably what I'm saying, hopefully. My presentation will be 5 ways the recruitment industry is changing, okay, specifically honing in on the recruitment process that Chimness actually talked about earlier, because it is quite a vast and complex process. And I heard your conversation earlier with Chimness, and I'm going to chip in 10 penneth as well in that particular area. But just to give you a little bit of background about myself, 22 years with oil and gas, particularly with shell exploration and production. I have to say I've actually lived in more countries than Chimness. I've actually been to 55 countries and lived in 146 cities around the world. Most of them, unfortunately, in the oil and gas industry are not possibly the best cities to live in, particularly Lagos or Port Harcourt. Yeah, Nigeria is one, absolutely. Some of the better ones, Calgary, obviously in Canada, certainly Singapore, you know, very nice place, Kuala Lumpur, Brunei, very different sorts of places. My last assignment with shell exploration was with a company called Petroleum Development Oman, which is actually in the Middle East. It's literally right on the heel of the Arabian Peninsula, right next door to Yemen, unfortunately, where there's a little bit of conflict going on at the moment. But a very, very nice place, superb place, where you can actually do a lot of work, particularly in research. So my PhD, in actual fact, was in e-commerce development and internet evolution, because obviously the internet has changed dramatically since its inception. So what I'm actually doing here now is, obviously this is my home, but I do actually have other jobs. I lecture at UNEC in accounting, strangely enough. UNEC is the economics university here, and I'm also the program director for the University of London, and we actually bring in university courses into this country rather than sending students abroad, which is an expensive hobby, I can assure you. So what we've decided to do is we've teamed up with UNEC, University of London has teamed up with UNEC, and we've said that we can actually run the whole course here for a lot less than obviously the sending children across to university in the UK or the US. So I've got many jobs here. This is one of them as well. Hopefully helping people decide what they actually want to do in the future. HR has been part of my life as well, through many parts. But I've taken a particular interest recently in online learning and artificial intelligence, and particularly this area where the recruitment industry is definitely changing, vastly changing, and very, very quickly. I've got some statistics to read out to you as well. But the 5 ways, certainly what we look at the moment is that it's now the age of the machine, okay? everybody is carrying smart devices. Whether they use them smartly or not is a different thing, but we all carry smart devices. We can do virtually anything on our devices. Okay. So what we see is we all know that these platforms exist, but we haven't quite grasped how to use them yet. They're on the rise every day, every day. Technology is changing every day. And even the smallest device that we carry in our pockets, okay, has the ability to mine vast amounts of data. Jim has mentioned that obviously there's a question, right, I'm going to hire another 100 people for this particular environment, you know, in the next 2 months. How am I going to get through hundreds and thousands of different applications very, very quickly? Well, the answer to that is you data mine through artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence, if you've got the right algorithms and you've got the right business process in place, can make those decisions very, very quickly, and then lead you to the right people that you want to have face-to-face interviews with, for instance. Okay? So a lot of it is about automation, moving the repetitive sort of jobs out of the HR function and really get to grips with the more psychological face-to-face interview type jobs. Okay, so here there's a little bit of an ecosystem working where we've got a certain amount of HR specialists. They might be in compensation and benefits, and we have also artificial intelligence taking out the repetitive type of jobs out of the industry. We can then concentrate on more real human resources activities. Okay, so the second thing, what we've seen recently is obviously the decline of job portals. When I first came to Azerbaijan, everybody was putting up portals all over the place. Jobs GE, for instance, was a Georgian portal. I can't remember what the Azerbaijan was, but everybody was posting different jobs on these job portals, and there was thousands of people trying to apply. But again, the internet was not really that well established here in Azerbaijan. In fact, it's probably still not as good as it actually could be. There's no doubt about that. But people were literally putting their CVs on every portal that they possibly could. And one in particular that I'd just like to talk about is our friend Monster. There's Monster Golf, there's Monster Europe, there was Monster Russia. It was a huge job portal where everybody was posting their CVs. But unfortunately today they're actually struggling. In fact, Monster, to pull up some of the statistics in actual fact, Monster was actually founded in 1994. So pretty much at the infancy of, you know, online business, whatever it might be. And it was obviously for job seekers, and also companies were using Monster to hire. But more recently, in actual fact, Monster was bought out by another recruitment agency called Randstad, if you've ever heard of it or encountered it, certainly in Singapore and Kuala Lumpur. And Randstad paid $429 million to buy out Monster, because they have got a huge database now of people around the world. Huge database. Obviously some of those people have now moved into jobs, but you still get those, you know, emails occasionally where, you know, this might be appropriate for you, or are you available at the moment, whatever it might be. So these databases are still out there, possibly with your own CVs actually on it. But Monster was obviously declining as technology started to increase, and the big companies like SAP and Oracle and Taleo, they all started into the recruitment process, okay? And they were all starting to change the way the recruitment process was actually going to happen. Right? It was going to be a lot slicker. Now, what I've seen in Azerbaijan, in actual fact, over the years, is that you might send your application in, but you actually get no response at all from anybody. And even if you call, you still don't get any response. So a lot of the job portals these days, they give you immediately an automated response. We have received your application. And there's a qualifier in there. If you don't hear back from us in the next 10 days, you have not been selected to move forward. Okay? This is basically artificial intelligence starting to scan and to see if you are a suitable candidate to actually come into possibly a face-to-face interview. There are other methods as well. What we see as well is a lot of interactive social media sites are working these days. Obviously, LinkedIn is a real big one. And I think maybe last year, if you saw the news, LinkedIn was actually bought by Microsoft. And Microsoft has got artificial intelligence built into all of their products. Okay? So when you post your CV on LinkedIn, it's immediately going into one of these massive, great big databases that artificial intelligence can actually mine. And sometimes what you see is, based on your profile, LinkedIn will now say, we found 10 jobs this week for you that suit your profile. You've done nothing. All you've done is put your profile on LinkedIn. Yeah? Artificial intelligence is actually doing the work already. Yes, now you can actually apply. The first pass has actually been done. You've actually done the work. You've put your profile in place. Now people can have a look at that and see if you're actually available or looking for a job. The words there, looking for new opportunities, don't cut it. Let me tell you, it doesn't work that way. But if you have a decent profile where you've gone year by year and you've had different things, you've had additional education. We were talking about continuous education afterwards, and we'll talk a little bit about that. If you've got that sort of framework in your CV, you will be bombarded with possible jobs that you might like to take account of. And it's all because of artificial intelligence, what's actually happening today. Okay, the social media sites, virtually everybody is using social media sites these days. You saw obviously the information about this workshop today was posted on social media. I cut and pasted it and put it on Instagram and fired it out to my network. It's like a hub and spoke. We've all got networks and we just post and post and post, and we keep going even more. The other thing that's very interesting in actual fact is I'm one of these. I'm a freelancer. I don't have a full-time job anymore, but I have a number of jobs that I work in on a different basis. There is a decline these days in full-time paid jobs. Maybe not so much in Azerbaijan. It hasn't crept up on you yet, but it will get there one day. It will get there one day. What is happening is we've got what's called the growing gigs. You know what a gig is? It's slang terminology for you know, perhaps an event, yeah, a song contest is a gig, yeah. And what Chimnus mentioned earlier was particularly Uber and Airbnb. They don't own anything. Uber don't own taxis. Airbnb don't own hotels or bed and breakfast or anything like that. All they have is freelance workers. That's literally all they have. And we've become micro entrepreneurs. We're doing our own business on a day-by-day basis. Okay? Fantastic. So what does this lead to, unfortunately? The world, as we know, is rapidly changing. Rapidly changing. The skills that we got and we learnt as youngsters are slowly diminishing. Slowly diminishing. And the situation that we find ourselves in now is that we have got to keep ourselves learning, continuously learning, developing new skills. And you're absolutely right, Chimnus, I do it myself. Every day I try and learn something new. Every day. I'm 64 years old and I have not stopped learning yet. Okay? Strangely enough, I'm actually doing because I think it's really important at the moment, I'd like to actually get into the Ministry of Education here and tell them what they're actually doing wrong, you know, for the people of this country. So I'm actually doing an EDD, an educational doctorate in organisation and leadership, because I think it's not quite as good as it could be in the Ministry of Education. So watch out in the coming future.
Long-term plan.
Pardon?
The long-term plan.
Yes, well, 3 years maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we actually see is degrees and experience, they're losing their edge in the marketplace today. But what is gaining weight is more the people that can actually learn and become more adaptable very, very quickly. So, as I said, I'm 64 years old, but I'm still learning, I'm still adapting to different ways of life. It comes easy for me, for instance, the change in the Baku bus, for instance, and the metro. We've now got smart cards where we actually get on the front of the bus and we put our card next to a device, yeah. And you know, artificial intelligence is actually part of that as well. They can detect who, where and when people travel. Travel patterns are all over Baku. And just recently ADA, in actual fact, has signed an agreement with BP to open at ADA a data analysis centre, okay? Because every day now we're collecting data in Azerbaijan purely to use in artificial intelligence, or purely to use with artificial intelligence. What you'll see, particularly from the Baku bus environment, is they might have to change routes because of the passenger numbers that travel on particular routes at particular times of the day. So they're mining all of this data everywhere. It's not just about that little piece of plastic. It's about long-term development of Baku, as an example. We might have to change the whole road system. We might have to remove a certain amount of cars from the roads. We might even have to reduce traffic. We might even have to change start and finish times. Look at the schools. Everybody piles to the schools at a certain time of the day. The roads are chaos, absolute chaos. But all of this information is all being collected at the moment, and somewhere there is somebody beavering away, a data analyst, or what we actually call these days the chief data officer. Those are the sort of people that are actually mining this types of information. Okay, that's really all I had to say about artificial intelligence. Anybody got any questions about how things are changing or why they're changing? And who uses their smart device smartly? We all got smart devices?
I'm not sure I use it smartly.
No? Well, certainly, I can give you a couple of examples that I'm using on a day-by-day basis. To get here today, I obviously used Google Maps, and it's got enough intelligence to tell me how long I needed to take walking, because I like to walk everywhere because the roads are chaos. But it's got enough intelligence in that map to show me actually walking, because that device is coupled to me. Yeah. It took me 9 minutes from Sakis Mall. 9 minutes. Straight down the road, cross over by the crossing, onto the boulevard, and then here. And then I sent a message to Samir saying, I'm here. I was here very early, unfortunately. Yeah. But another thing is, obviously, on Apple devices, you've got Siri. You can ask questions of Siri. Where is Park Inn? And she will find, the actual location, and possibly even give you, a guidance of where you can go to. So there's lots of artificial intelligence already built into these devices, and people really have not actually got to grips with them yet. We still think these are just for communicating between us, but we could use them a lot smarter. A lot smarter. And certainly people now these days as well, particularly through Facebook, particularly through LinkedIn, are carrying these devices with them the whole time, and they get notifications the whole time. It's there and available. But I just wanted to say a couple of other things. Yes, the HR industry is changing. Don't worry too much about artificial intelligence. I personally think Stephen Hawking is a little bit wrong. Okay, we will not become extinct very soon. But I think we need to use artificial intelligence in our daily lives a little bit better than we're doing at present. Yeah? And certainly in the HR industry, or even in my industry, where there's lots of business processes, what I'm trying to do is actually take out all of the redundant, time-consuming, administrative type processes. You don't need those. The machines can do it a lot faster. A lot faster. Just recently, the iPhone X came out, and to open it, it has facial recognition. You don't have any buttons to press anymore. You switch it on, and you look at it, and it opens purely with your face. We've had that technology for ages and ages and ages. So, in the recruitment industry, just think about the possibilities. We could do face-to-face interviews across the internet using Skype, and we can see the people, we can do facial recognition. Because unfortunately, there are still a lot of biases in the recruitment industry. People that turn up and they've got tattoos all across their bodies. Like me, for instance, I don't like wearing a tie these days. People have an aversion to people that walk in with an open collar. So there are still biases that you could actually take out of the recruitment process using artificial intelligence. It would make things a lot simpler, a lot easier. Yeah? So, that's really all I had to say about artificial intelligence. I think it's the thing of today, and I think it will be the future, but what I see it as is an enabler within human resources to actually make things better for us, the human resources managers or whatever it might be. Okay. So, thanks very much. If you've got any questions, more than happy to take them. Even if you've got any comments, even if you disagree with me.
Just one comment regarding you said that this card when you're using in the bus, for example, everybody know where you go and from where to where at what time.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think this small misunderstanding or mistake because it's not personal card and I mean system or okay some people only can see traffic. Or you
Yes.
can see, I mean it's not personal.
No, it's not. It's got a serial number. It's got a serial number.
No, but when you buy this this card, no need any documents to buy. So
No, absolutely, absolutely. No, all they're doing is they're tracking that particular card. It's a tracking system. Yeah. So you're absolutely right. We know that one person. We don't know who that person is because it hasn't got a chip in it. You're absolutely right. But we know that that card is enabled. It's been enabled. And there's money going onto it. So, first of all, you can see exactly where the money goes onto it. Yeah.
Yes.
You can see exactly where the money comes off of it. So you can see that I swiped that card at this particular stop. Yeah. And particularly on the 21 bus, I actually get off at the end of its terminus. And usually I get back on it at that point. So that card moves between those 2 points. That's all it's tracking. It's not tracking you personally. Not quite yet. I'm sure it will get there. But that data is still important to them.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Because particularly, I mean, I'd like to see the 21 bus route change a little bit. Because the bus comes down Nobel Prospecty from Ahmadli, yeah? And it ends up at Sakis. But there's so many people on that bus, we're all standing there like that. Yeah, absolutely. It's just like the metro as well, exactly, same. We also know that that card gets on the metro at Hazaslanov, and it also gets on in Shahar. That's 2 places that I go on a daily basis. So it's tracking that card, it's not tracking you. But again, all of that information is very valuable,
Yeah, of course.
you know, for the Baku bus or the metro to maybe say, well, we need a proposal to change routes, or we need more buses, or
Yes.
whatever it might be. So it's still valuable.
Plus, in the end of story, all this money counting and
Absolutely.
government
Then we give
can
it to
see
the accountants.
government can see
Yeah.
proper.
Absolutely. And I'd like to say in actual fact that I love the bus system and I love the metro, even though the trains aren't particularly great and they're always packed, but you've got the cheapest in the world. It's fantastic.
Yes.
I can go virtually anywhere for 20 kapri. It's fantastic.
How
Yeah.
much time you live in Azerbaijan?
19 19 years.
Oh, you know Azerbaijan language?
No.
But
I am-
you know
Yes.
metro stations.
Oh yes.
I live in Hazaslanov.
Ah.
I really surprised when you said that Hazaslanov Ahmed.
Yeah, you will be surprised if
21
you are
bus.
neighbors together. Maybe.
You know, that's it's a
building.
funny story actually. I was on the metro the other night coming back from the university, and I had a colleague, an Azerbaijani colleague with me, and we sit and we talk on the metro. People don't talk on the metro, do they? They all sit there. They're all blank faces, you know? Or they're,
They sound happy
or they're
faces.
playing games or anything like this, you know? But me and my colleague, we've had a day at the, you know, what happened with you? What were your students like today? Oh, my lot, oh, terrible, you know, this. And there was these people directly across from us, and they were staring, you know, you could feel the eyes burning into your skin, you know, it was incredible, absolutely incredible. And I got off at Hazaslanov, and this guy came up beside me, and he said, "You don't see many foreigners in Hazaslanov." I said, "Well, I'm not a foreigner, I live here." God, shock, horror, you know. There's
You
a,
live there?
Yeah.
You live there?
Well, actually, I live down Nobel Prospect by the Asiman Palace Hotel.
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah, so I have to
I'm
take.
living in Nagila.
Oh, okay.
You know that?
Yeah. Cool.
And I'm going to I graduated unique.
Oh, did you?
On October, I get my diploma.
Yeah, really?
This October, yes.
This October?
Yes.
Ah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Ask Graham, we can get it earlier maybe.
Yeah, I'll sign it for you. Yeah. Any other questions?
Can I ask your opinion? You just mentioned about this artificial intelligence that this is very smart when we use automated systems. And regarding HR, yes, I agree with you that we use our databases, SAP systems, that helps us a lot. But let's say, how can we trust it 100%? For example, talking about recruitment, and you're saying that there can be some automated system when a machine can scan all our CVs and shortlist the candidates. Or when you have interviews Skype by Skype, that is a bit different from the natural when you have to face-to-face interview and you do know the person better. And for example, when a recruiter goes through CVs, he can see something between the lines, maybe.
Yeah, well, I personally think that okay, you've got 2,000 CVs and there's only one job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let the machine do the